Good morning, students. Today's topic is the size of the business. So, today we will learn how the size of a business can be measured. What are the ways to assess the size of a business in an economy? There is a number of the ways in which the size of the business can be measured. The first method is the value of the business. A business worth hundreds of the millions of the pounds could be described as a large business. So the first method to assess a business, what is the size of the business, is to get the value of the business. So if a business worth hundreds of the millions of the pounds could be described as a large business. How much a business is worth can be measured by its sale price to another business. The sale price of a business depends on how much the owners are prepared to sell it for and how the buyers are prepared to pay. So the worth of the business actually gives the size of the business. If the company is quoted on the stock exchange, then an indication of the likely price is given by the market capitalization of the business. This is the current price of each share times the number of the shares issued. So more the price of a share, more will be the size of the business. Less the price of the share, less will be the size of the business as far as a company that is quoted on the stock exchange is concerned. Next method to get the size of the business is capital employed by a business may and can vary depending on the size of the business. So normally a bigger business, there will be more capital employed, and in a smaller business less capital will be employed. This is a normal phenomena. A small business will need less capital to finance its investments, whereas a large business enterprise will need a lot of the capital to plan and finance the investments. This can be because large businesses has a lot of the departments such as surveying, research and development, etc. And this will require a lot of money to finance all the expenses. Here again, the comparison can only be realistic if the businesses being compared are operating in the same industry. So this is very important point. When you are comparing two businesses, which one is bigger, which one is smaller, the important point is they should work in the same sector. Then you can get a realistic view. Since different businesses have different costs and objectives, it is not possible to compare a business that operates in diamonds with one that operates in selling household stuffs. So this is the point. So if you want to get a realistic view, which company is bigger, which is smaller as far as capital is employed, they should work in the same industry. If the companies are working in the different industries, then it will be hard for you to measure which one is bigger, which one is smaller. Next method is sales turnover. Sales turnover, that is sales revenue, is the money that you get from the sale of the product. So normally more the sales turnover, bigger will be the company, and less the turnover, smaller will be the company. The cost of the sales have not been deducted from this. This can be a good way to compare the business in the same industry. For example, Bettelco and MTC Vodafone. These both are operating in providing telecommunicating services to the public. These both firms use almost the same strategies and techniques. So comparing the sales revenue can be very realistic. So the company which is getting more sales revenue will be bigger. Using the method to compare business in different industries can be less effective. Next method is the market share. The market share can be considered as the business control over the customers. If the business has a greater market share, it might be because of the good quality of the products or brand image or brand loyalty, etc. So these can be the points of getting a bigger market share. Once the firm is successful in obtaining a good market share, it should be able to maintain the good service it provides. Market share can be calculated by, so this is the formula for getting the market share. That is total sales of the business over total sales of the industry multiplied by 100%. So bigger the market share of a company, bigger will be the company, and vice versa. However, a business can only be considered large if the total size of the market is large. If the market itself is small, so this is very important point. If the market itself is small, then a greater market share may not be sufficient to indicate the business as being big. Next point is the number of the employees. So this is also very important method to measure the business. So this is one of the simplest measures to know about the size of the firm. It is simple because business with just the owner and the family obviously shows that the business is small. Where on the other hand, a business which employs workers is big, since labor is not a cheap factor of the production and the most important asset to the business. But this may not always be the case. So this is very important point again in this point. So this may not always be the case. Taking for example a firm Akram Shoes, which makes and sells shoes, employs 100 workers and is able to make 100 pairs of the shoes in 2 days without being automated using machinery. But on the other hand, another company is there, that is Rahim Shoes, which is totally automated, employs only 10 workers and is able to make 100 pairs of the shoes in 1 day. So the employees may not be the best way to measure the size of the business. In retailing, size is often measured by the number of the outlets or shops owned by the business. So more the shops a business is having, it is considered normally a bigger business, and lesser the shops a business is having, it is considered a smaller business. It could also be measured by how many square meters of a shop floor space a business owns. Which form of the measurement is the best? In reality, no one measure is the best. It depends on what needs are to be established about the firm. The business might be going either for comparative size or absolute size. If the firm is going to absolute size, then at least any two of the above criteria should be considered. So no one method is always 100% good. Difficulties of using these methods. The various methods are not a definitive measure of the size of the business for the following reason. A business using a highly mechanized process will employ fewer workers than a business using labor-intensive methods. So this is the first difficulty if we measure a business on terms of the number of the employees. So this is the problem. A high value of the capital employed might reflect the fact that very expensive equipment is essential for the business to function. So this is the problem in capital employed method. Next point is a business could have a large market share, but the market itself might be very small. So this is the problem in market share method. Next is the current market value of the business might be due to sudden surge or decline in its share value. For example, some of the .com companies. So this is the problem if we are measuring the business size in terms of the market value. The market value can be a sudden surge or a decline. Sales turnover can be high due to sale of only a few but very high value items such as highly specialized computer control mechanisms, for example, parts being used on space exploration missions. So this is the problem when we are measuring the business in terms of the sales turnover. A large business might produce a very small profit if market conditions are difficult. So this is the problem in terms of profit. So these are the problems in using different kinds of the methods. So make your notes. Thank you so much.